For the longest time, the fight against advanced gum disease has been a battle of, well, overwhelming force. But what if the future isn't about more power, but more precision? Today, we're going to look at a major shift in thinking, from using a sledgehammer to a scalpel in dental medicine.
And this is really the key question that's pushing all the innovation right now. I mean, we have these incredibly powerful tools to fight infection, but are we causing some serious collateral damage along the way? Is our whole sledgehammer approach maybe doing a bit more harm than good?
So to really understand this fight, we've got to size up the enemy first. And we're talking about a really widespread and destructive condition called periodontitis. It's an infection that goes way, way deeper than just your gums.
Yeah, this is not just a simple case of swollen or bleeding gums. Periodontitis is a much more serious, destructive thing. It's actually an inflammatory disease where your own body's immune system gets tricked by bacteria and starts attacking and breaking down the very bone and tissue that hold your teeth in place.
So who are the main troublemakers here? Well, meet the red complex. This is a notorious trio of bacteria. Think of them as the primary villains that work together to create this chronic, destructive infection. They are target number one.
All right, so how do we usually fight back against this bacterial invasion? What's the standard game plan?
The first line of attack is always a deep mechanical cleaning. You've probably heard it called scaling and root planing. The whole idea is to physically go in and scrape away all those bacterial deposits and hardened plaque from below the gum line. It's the essential first step to just break up the infection's main base.
But here's the problem. Even after a super thorough cleaning, these bacteria are masters of hiding out. They can stay on your tongue, your cheeks, in your saliva, just waiting to move back in and recolonize the areas that were just cleaned. So for the really tough cases, just cleaning alone, it might not be enough to win the war.
And this is where doctors decided they needed a lot more firepower. They started adding a really powerful tool to their arsenal, kind of like a systemic airstrike to wipe out the infection from the inside out.
And the evidence, well, it was pretty convincing. Major scientific reviews looked at all the data and found that when patients took antibiotic pills after their deep cleaning, the results were significantly better. The strategy, simply put, was proven to work.
So how much of a difference do these antibiotics really make? This much, 0.485 millimeters. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds incredibly tiny. But in the world of dentistry, reducing the depth of a gum pocket by almost half a millimeter is a huge clinical victory. It's a real, measurable improvement that cleaning alone just couldn't deliver.
But this powerful airstrike approach, it wasn't perfect. It came with a pretty big risk of some serious collateral damage.
The alarm bells actually started ringing from inside the scientific community itself. This quote from a major study really highlights the dilemma. Yeah, the antibiotics worked, but using them all the time was creating even bigger problems.
And here's the trade-off, plain and simple. First, patients who took the pills were way more likely to report side effects. But the even bigger worry was a global one. The routine use of these powerful drugs helps create superbugs. It contributes to the crisis of antibiotic resistance, a threat that makes these life-saving medicines less effective for everybody.
So all of this created this urgent need for a new strategy, something smarter, more precise, less like a carpet bomb, and a lot more like a surgical strike.
And this slide just lays out the two different philosophies perfectly. On one side, you've got the systemic approach. Take a pill that floods your entire body just to get to your gums. On the other side, the local approach. A targeted medicine that's applied right at the site of the infection and absolutely nowhere else.
So how does this more focused mission actually work? Well, it's a three-step process. First, you get the standard deep cleaning. Then, the dentist applies the specially designed antibiotic gel directly into those infected gum pockets. And this gel is pretty cool. It's engineered to slowly release the medication over several days, concentrating all its firepower right where the fight is happening.
So, this brings us to the ultimate question, right? Can this targeted, special ops mission get the same results as the heavy artillery of systemic pills?
A groundbreaking study decided to do exactly that. Researchers set up a clinical trial to directly compare the outcomes. So one group of patients got the standard cleaning plus the systemic antibiotic pills. The other group got the exact same cleaning, but with the locally applied antibiotic gel instead.
Okay, let's break down what they found. The key thing they measured was probing depth. Basically, how deep the pockets are between the teeth and gums. Deeper pockets mean worse disease. So, as you'd expect, the group taking the antibiotic pills showed a really significant drop in that depth after 6 months. The traditional method worked. No big surprise.
And now, the moment of truth. Here are the results for the targeted, local antibiotic group. Take a look. The reduction in pocket depth, the clinical improvement, it's remarkably similar. The targeted approach totally held its own.
So, the takeaway from all this research is pretty powerful and clear. We can get comparable clinical results without exposing the entire body to antibiotics. And that means we can reduce the risk of side effects and, maybe most importantly, not contribute to the bigger problem of antibiotic resistance.
And this really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole shift in dentistry, from overwhelming force to precision targeting, it might just be a preview of a much larger trend in all of medicine. Is the future less about just finding more powerful drugs and more about finding smarter, safer, and way more targeted ways to deliver them?